put into it, and the growth came just because of the stuff that you can do, really.
Oh, man,
all of that stuff is just
amen.
Beautiful.
Hallelujah. Thank you for the opportunity. And for saying that, because my mom's here. Your mom's here? Yeah.
Oh.
Hey, Jane.
Jane's here.
Yeah.
And Linda Loewe's here too.
Linda Loewe! Linda Loewe, stand up!
Linda Loewe is our casting, our brilliant casting.
And Jeffy's wife. I will say, only very briefly and not in a self-aggrandizing way, I asked Linda at our Christmas party. We had a party at Shonda's house after we'd made 7 episodes, and we got to watch the last one, I think. And I was so grateful to be there, just sitting in the room where it happens, whatever. And I asked Linda, like, how did you know that you could trust me with any of that, much less all of that? And she said that it was like from auditioning, from every time you were in the room, you gave us all you could, and I had seen your body of work. So I only say that to say, if there's anybody out there tonight that's an actor, just know that every time you go in a room, you're carrying your authenticity, your future, you're carrying your being with you, and if you don't walk out with a job, it doesn't mean you didn't get the job in a few years or in a few decades. But really, your work matters. Every time you go somewhere, you're taking you, so
No pressure.
yeah.
Also, Linda cast all of Shondaland.
Yeah, mob her.
Linda's found every single one of my actors in every single one of Shondaland.
And has done like movies in between.
Yeah, I mean, she does a lot of other amazing things, but to me, that's really what counts. The talent that shows up, that she just sort of, I feel like, places in front of me is magical. She somehow knows in a way that even I don't know what's going to matter and what's necessary and what's going to blossom. I mean, the fact that Katie Lowe's came into the office, I'd never seen her before, and she was like, just watch what she does. Like, it's amazing.
Yeah.
You know what's so fun about doing this? I actually cheer. I don't really get to cheer when I do stories. Or at debates. It just doesn't work.
It doesn't work that way.
Shonda, I want to stay with the serious theme for just a moment. And we've talked about things, the show mirroring life and how you do that, reality and not reality. But you've had some very powerful episodes, Lawn Chair. It was inspired by Ferguson, and black man being killed by police. Tell me when you approach something like that, and you know the show is fictionalized, but when you approach something that is clearly important to you and that you want to get a message out, how is that different when you bring that show together?
Oddly enough, it's not different. I mean, every show that we do is some story that I can't get out of my head, and some story that's itching around in my brain. We're not just sort of casting around to tell something just to tell it. There's always some reason. That one was literally like I just was sick about everything that was going on, and I kept having this vision of a parent sitting in a lawn chair over the body of their dead kid holding a shotgun. Like, that image was just stuck in my head for some reason. And I knew I wanted to do an episode about it, but I didn't know how or when or what it was going to be or what the story was going to be. And Olivia had just been kidnapped. And somehow it made sense to me that the Olivia who had just been kidnapped would have that be her first case out. And I don't know why, or I don't know how, but it made sense to me as a character that she would be confronted with that. And telling the story was not about, to me, like I'm going to tell a message, as much as it was, I'm going to tell this story because this story feels like it needs to be told for this character at this point and at this time. Now, that's because it needs to be told by me, for me, because that was the message I wanted to say, I'm sure, but in some subconscious place, it's always that way for every story.
And Tony, you directed this season. I know you've directed in the past. But talk about doing that and what's important to you when you direct Scandal and how that's different.
It's a very unique experience, really, to direct a show that you're acting in, and you're part of the family. It's really, it's challenging when you're directing Kerry Washington. But it's very pleasant, but everyone knows, no.
I purposefully give Tony a hard time.
She just teases me, but it's an amazing thing to, you know, I've directed a lot of other things, and to do something from the inside. The first time I did it, it was really, I felt very privileged, you know. Even the first one I did, I think, was when I had to direct a love scene with me and Carrie.
That's hard.
I kept calling it that. All right, we got it.
I was like, I think we need another one. So it's, but you know, like to be able to be doing a scene with Jeff, and I remember when I think it was last season, and be totally in the scene with him, and then when we finish it, to say to Jeff, what about, like, to give him thought about how to do, you know, to help
possibility or possible.
It's a very intimate, you feel like you're crossing a line, because an actor would never do that to another actor, but as the director, I'm the actor and the director, I can do it, and we're very close friends, so we know each other so well. It's just a very unique experience.
Yeah, I love that those skill sets coming together, because usually there's a really pragmatic reasons, you guys, where keep those demarcations, you know. Shonda saying, please say everything I wrote, but I don't want to micromanage or manage at all how you might approach it or what possibilities you find. That's discovery for me. And I remember many moments with Tone where we're in a scene, he's really in it. I know he's got to decide on its duration of this take, whether I'm getting it from those angles. Our great directors of photography helping with that. But Tony in character and having a consciousness as the director, and some of the notes immediately after are, Jeff, I think here, this little section, somebody give me a script, you know, this little section right here, this I'm totally getting the communication. I just know I am. I don't have to articulate it. Here, I'm just getting, it's a little fuzzy. I just know I'm not receiving it as clearly as I did here and here. And that's all we needed to say. Next take better. But I was just amazed at Tony's ability to do that. My ex-wife, really talented actress, Laurie Metcalf, she has that weird ability, almost as an actress, where kind of falling apart and shattering emotionally, but can tell you if someone in the second balcony just left because they were bored. It's weird.
You as a cast, you have great relationships with people on Twitter. In fact, you're going to be live tweeting. That's why I keep checking my watch. I gotta make sure I let you out of here on time. Guillermo, can you remember any great moments with anybody on Twitter, fun things that have happened?
Well, just today, people were tweeting on our way over here saying they were standing out in the rain and.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
And,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's just so great to have that immediate sort of, interaction with our fans and on Twitter. And it's just so great. We feel like they're I don't remember who started the Gladiators thing, but, they're part of our family.
It was a fan.
Yeah.
That was a fan. In the first episode, because of the scene with Katie, where she kept saying, the whole, do you want to be a gladiator in a suit?
Yeah.
Somebody tweeted, I think we're going to call ourselves Gladiators.
Yeah.
A bunch of us retweeted it. And
I think they're all going to join you in live tweeting.
I love that.
Or maybe like 2 minutes to 9, just to show you've been here. No spoilers. Definitely.
No spoilers.
Okay.
No spoilers.
Yeah, no spoilers. Speaking of Twitter, I'm going to read a couple of questions from Twitter before you get out and start tweeting for Shonda. Why are the characters' psyches more powerfully ruled by their fathers than mothers? Ooh.
Somebody at home. I think across the board, that's true. That's interesting. Not on this show, that is true. On grays, it's the opposite. And I don't know why. I might need to talk to my therapist about it.
Carrie, you're nodding. You want to delve into that?
No, I too will talk about it with my therapist. It is really fascinating across the board.
Okay, all right. Melanie.
I want to know why that person wanted to know what you need to talk about. I'm just saying.
There's the therapist right now. They'll tweet later about that. So yeah. Bellamy, is the role of the First Lady portrayed on the show outdated? Did Michelle Obama and Hillary Clinton prove that a First Lady could be more than ornamental? I know you've gone on to run for president as Melly, but you've complained about, both of you have complained about the role of First Lady.
Yeah, I think we handled it. I was proud of how we handled it on the show. Melly had a lot of platforms. She tried hard to get things off the ground, and I think that gender politics are still at work, and hopefully that we might crash through that ceiling in November. But still very bifurcated in terms of the gender roles in the White House. So I was proud of how we handled that. Melly was a very powerful woman, and yet held back a bit by her station, as it were. But now she's free. Free range.
Okay, Carrie, are the brighter colors in Olivia's wardrobe this season a true reflection of what she's feeling, or a facade to hide inner darkness?
Oh, good question, you guys. Oh. Yeah.
I think they are a tool. I think they are a tool to both feel differently and also invite herself to feel differently. You know, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But our brilliant costume designer, Lynn Paolo, and were so floored when that was written into the script. That was not a costume decision. That came from the writer's room, that Olivia was going to start to wear bright colors. And I remember the first time that Lynn Paolo and I had a fitting after getting that directive. We just stared at each other for 5 minutes, and we were like, maybe we meet tomorrow? Like, we don't know what to do. But it has been really fun and interesting, and has had an impact on Olivia. But I do think it's part of her process. I don't think it's a representation of her complete transformation, but rather that she's in process of transforming.
And I have to say, it was a process that we all went through together.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, the crew would see me come on set and be like, what?
Yeah.
How are you?
Yeah.
Okay, as we wind down here, we have the final question from all the Twitter fans. Can you describe the finale? 2 episodes away?
Yes.
In 2 words. And it cannot be stay tuned. Okay?
Can I say before we talk about the finale, just really quickly, that I started to get very emotional when you were talking about the lawn chair episode, because there are certain moments as an actor that I just cannot believe that I am blessed to be part of a community that is so aware, that is so woke, as we like to say on social media. And one of the things that I have been thinking about a lot is next week's episode, which is, I think, right now, one of the most important hours of television that this country will be privileged to. And it is really important, and I bawled my eyes out at the table read because I couldn't believe the things that we as a company were going to say. So, please stay tuned for next week. And the finale is amazing, and we'll all come up with 2 words, but I would just tell you that there have been a few times in the career
let's
of
stick
this
with
show,
that one then. Yeah.
and a few times that I have been like completely humbled to be able to live in the words. And they're not words I get to say. Actually, nobody on the stage says the words that I'm talking about.
That's right.
But they will blow your mind. Blow your mind.
Shonda, want to add to that?
No, I think Carrie always says.
Okay. Okay. Let's do the quick 2 words for the finale. After that, I don't know. We can't really come up with anything. After we see next week, we're gonna definitely do more than that.
I'm gonna go with a wowzer trouser.
I knew you were gonna say that. I just could tell you were gonna say that.
Holy cannoli.
Good one, G.
Okay,
Good
Twitter
one.
fans who wanted this question, there you go. No words.
Good.
Oh, that's good.
That's good.
That's it. That's good. You got it.
Oh.
Yeah, don't you feel
Sadly,
sorry for
uplifting.
candidates at home?
Sadly uplifting.
Wow.
Okay.
Oh, say that again.
Sadly uplifting.
Oh, nice, lovely.
When you asked, the 2 words that came up to my mind were set up.
Oh, nice.
2 words from one of my sentences are perfect guy.
Oh, okay.
Perfect guy.
Oh, I wanna. Okay, we'll all watch. You know what? Everybody here is going to watch anyway. We would not miss an episode.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks to everybody who welcome to all of us to the side perspective. Have a great night, and we'll all go home.
Martha,
Thank you.
thank you for coming.